Welcome back to part 3 of our Dimension Data 3-part series, Cloud Transformation. It's no longer why or when, but how. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mariana and I'm the founder and owner of Mariana Carroll Consulting. With me today again, we are privileged to have our expert panel, Jeff Jack, Principal Head Cloud Intelligent Infrastructure at Dimension Data, Colin McHale, EMEA Territory Sales Director, Global Scale Partners and Programs for Intel Corporation, and Greg McDonald, Director of Sales Engineering at Dell Technologies South Africa. We are continuing our conversation on cloud transformation. If you have missed the first 2 episodes, please make sure to go back and revisit the content. In this session, we are discussing the very important question and perhaps one of the biggest concerns around the skills gap when it comes to cloud. As I said before, there's always more to do. So let's continue the conversation. There is a growing challenge around recruiting skilled workers to enable hybrid cloud rollouts and management. Hybrid cloud initiatives demand a breadth of capabilities. As such, recruiting skilled workers, as well as challenges associated with network performance and availability, all remains big inhibitors for widespread adoption. Based on the NTT or 451 Research 2020 survey, 42% of South African companies are unable to find the necessary talented or skilled workers to enable hybrid cloud rollouts within their organizations. So, Jeff, I have a question for you. Acquiring and retaining technical skills, I believe, has always been a challenge for companies, and cloud and hybrid cloud is no different. How do clients overcome the skills challenges when looking to exploit the benefits of hybrid cloud?
Thanks, Marianne. So you're quite right. In the 451 research that NTT commissioned, skills came in number 3 as the top inhibitors, with availability, security being number 1 and number 2, and skills being number 3. And it's not unique and it's not new. And I think we've always faced the skills challenge in the ICT industry, particularly when it comes to delivering on new technologies. And if I look at the fact that the demand for smart people it consistently outstrips the supply of smart people, what can we do about this? So I've really broken it down into 2 broad areas, and that's what we'll go through. And with my colleagues on the webinar today, I think we'll try and answer. So firstly, I wanted to start with, I think, which is probably the longer term and more strategic, and I think something that most every organization needs to look at, and that's around building skill. Because ultimately, where we see clients adopting cloud and hybrid cloud in general, is that not only do they need to overcome a skills challenge, but they also need to overcome a cultural challenge. And that change management within the organization and the change of skills within the organizations is vital if they are to leave behind the practices of the past and adopt the practices that's going to make them successful in the future in a hybrid cloud world. So if I can speak from a Dimension Data perspective, what we look at and the way we move our organization forward is in a couple of ways. One is the continued upskilling of our people, and bringing together a continuous learning culture within our organization, and to ensure both our technical and kind of non-technical staff remain current in the areas that we would like to execute in as a business. And the other is to bring new talent into the organization, and we do that in a number of different ways. And we've got a couple of different programs that we run, but I think the one that is probably most appropriate for today is our technical acceleration program, where we go actively into the market and we recruit from universities, from colleges, people with a technical background and a technical bent, and bring them into our organization and groom them for particular technical roles that we're looking to fulfill. And that's fantastic, because not only are we creating employment opportunities for people, but we're taking people who are looking to become technical, and we're giving them a career roadmap to be able to I suppose fulfill on what they're looking to fulfill. And that's a wonderful way of getting new thinking, and being able to craft new skills within the organization, in parallel to the more broad skills transformation programs that we run, in order to ensure that our skills remain relevant. And I suppose for the people listening, and I said it takes longer, because this is really an investment that takes a number of years in order to show fruition. It takes a number of intakes. You need to create a kind of a groundswell of new sets of talents within your organization. And I know Dimension Data and many organizations do something similar. But also, today with Colin and Greg, I know both Intel and Dell have similar programs where they also are looking at how they grow skills and grow the skills pool. So I'll hand over to you, Colin. I know Intel is the Intel University. Perhaps you can tell us a bit more about how Intel actually grows the new and in-demand skills.
Super. Thanks, Jeff. I think that, in the industry that we're in, what we've all experienced over our careers is the only thing that remains constant is change. So you either keep up with the change or you get left behind. And we need to continue to invest in ourselves and our teams to make sure that we can meet the market demand. So one of the things we've been doing for our customers and partners is investing in putting together an Intel University, where we can put the different programs in place. So one of them is around cloud fundamentals, and those foundational elements to actually help some of our customers who maybe are not as cloud savvy to actually comprehend and understand how can they benefit from the cloud, what are the different attributes, and how can they talk the cloud language that our customers are talking today when they're engaging with them. So I think it's clearly it's a start, and we continue to build upon that material as we go forward. So that's the initial phase of what we're doing. As a sales organization ourselves, and my team, they're all going through this program themselves to skill up and to gear up for that opportunity that's out there. Greg, I know that Dell are investing in their teams as well. Maybe you could share with us the work that Dell is doing in this education space of your team.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. I appreciate that, and echo the same sentiments as what you were speaking about there. The only consistent thing in our careers has changed, and I see it with my own team that I look after, who are architects inside the business, and the amount of work we've had to do with them around the cloud technology stack, especially on the VMware side of things, the Azure side of things, and even on the AWS side of things, the hyperscaler connection. But more importantly, I think about skills development challenges here in South Africa. We know that this is a major challenge in South Africa, and organizations like Dell with Dimension Data NTT need to play a vital role with the skills development processes in this country. And one of the things I'm particularly proud of from our organization is the Dell Foundation. This is a part of our business that really focuses on educating sort of matric students coming out of high school. We've taken students across the country. We're into our second intake. It's a 2-year program at Dell, and it covers things like cloud technologies with Microsoft and Azure. It covers things like Linux open source software, right across to high performance computing. And the piece that really interests me is that every year or every second year we pass the students through the program, every one of them is hired in the industry very quickly after they pass their sort of last year. And I think it's up to us as corporates inside South Africa and globally to play a more active role in education across it, because we need these services, we need these skills, and we know we can get better with both skills development and improving our business from a revenue point of view. So something quite close to my heart, Colin. And back to you guys.
So thanks, Greg. So like I said, I would answer this question in 2 parts. And I think we spoke about the build, and the build creates, in my mind, it creates that longer term cultural change, skills change within your organization. I think there's a second option that I think is very relevant for clients, and that's the kind of call it consumer partner. And in my mind, that's where the likes of a Dimension Data gets involved, because we are building the skill. We have built the skill. And not only is it about skill, but it's also about the standard operating procedures and the people and the process that we've also developed, around that skill, that allows us to not only understand how to move clients into this hybrid cloud world, but also how to operate those environments once clients have been able to move. And once clients have moved, and if people are looking to extract value quickly, then the consumption and the partnership strategy, in my mind, is got to be one that you want to prioritize in order to be able to get value out of hybrid cloud quickly. So a number of our investments, besides building skills, is also going into established platforms and the operating environment for hybrid cloud. So we're busy building out something we're calling the hybrid cloud operating environment, and that is a collection of not only tools, but that's also a collection of IP, and it's a collection of methods. It's a standard operating procedures that we can very quickly bring to bear, or work with a client to bring those quickly to bear in order for them to show value and achieve an outcome or a goal quickly. So in my mind, I think this is a kind of a multifaceted answer. It's not either or. I think it's how you do both, but then what balance you create when you do both. I think certainly partnering is there for speed, there for augmentation, for clients who don't believe operations and migration is something they should be doing. We can absolutely do it and run on their behalf. But what I have found is that organizations that embrace the skills challenge and get over the skills gap and change the culture, move faster, because they understand the outcomes they're trying to drive, and they're better aligned, between themselves and the partner that they're working with in order to get there. So quite a bit of a long answer there, but I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Jeff. And I think, as Greg mentioned, the constant is change. So bringing us back to the theme, I think, of the series as well, it's all about the how. And thank you for giving us practical ideas on how we can think and be more active in closing these skills gaps that we do experience. A second question that I have for you, Jeff, is I think, and it's also part of this topic, but in addition to the skills challenge, there are network and availability issues that clients need to consider when pursuing a hybrid cloud strategy. What advice can you provide on overcoming these challenges?
Thanks. So I'll just answer it simply, and it's something I've used before, and it really goes to no network equals no cloud. So the network and connectivity is fundamental in delivering cloud services to your organization, to clients, to consumers. So understanding and getting and ensuring that the right level of performance and availability is built in, is designed, and is considered when building out a hybrid cloud infrastructure is important. We spoke earlier about the 451 research, and I think performance and availability, in fact, beats security in terms of the major inhibitors for clients moving to cloud. So it's clearly top of mind. So what we have seen, what our experience shows, is that this is a fundamental shift in the way clients have consumed connectivity and networking services in the past. And really, as one starts moving towards hybrid cloud and getting value out of a hybrid cloud, that the WAN and your connectivity environment, how you get to those services, needs to be fundamentally rethought. The way the traffic patterns of a traditional WAN would have operated versus how it looks in a hybrid environment, particularly when you're mixing SaaS, on-premise, and hyperscalers, changes those flows and changes those connectivity elements quite significantly. And understanding that upfront as you begin the journey is really important in order to be able to extract value. I've had a number of conversations with clients who say, I have moved, and the promise of cloud is not living up to what we thought it was. and you start digging in, and you understand that what they've done is they've moved the workload, or they've moved something somewhere, but they haven't considered the other elements that surround it that are absolutely vital in ensuring that the experience remains. And I think one of the biggest elements, one of the most impactful elements, is around how the WAN needs to be reimagined and how the WAN needs to be redefined. And I'll hand over to Greg, because when it comes to software-defined WAN, VMware is really one of the leaders in this space. And I know Greg has some real insights as to what software-defined WAN can actually bring to an organization in their move once they've moved into a hybrid cloud environment.
Yeah, quite right, Jeff. I think the WAN is certainly one of the areas of the business that's less thought about. People think that when the app gets shifted from the data center into the hyperscaler, that the rest of it just magically works. And to your point, many customers have come unstuck with that particular process. I also think about the work from home impact to organizations, where customers have moved from very standardized workspaces with sort of static setups for productivity. We had meeting rooms where we had face-to-face engagements, and IT departments used to manage internet access inside a sort of fixed building. And if you think about what work from home has done, we have a variety of workspaces. Every customer or every staff member's desk is different. The mobility is different. They want to move and engage via mobility setups rather than a fixed desk inside an office, for example. And just like we're talking to you today on a virtual collaboration platforms like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, for example, that has a huge impact in terms of the traffic on corporate networks. And then lastly, if you do a comparison to a home consumer type of internet product that's purchased, whether it be a broadband product or a mobile product, the quality of service and costs is different compared to what a corporate would look like. And so that's where SD-WAN really starts to really show some values. It is the ability to have home routers and modems, mobile broadband, and bring the ability to bring the security policies that would have been traditionally deployed in a corporate building into the home and extend that security framework, which would be now much larger than particularly looking after secure policies like firewalls or inside corporates into the home. But at the same sort of time, SD-WAN has a value proposition of being able to use multiple connections. I could bring in a broadband access for my primary network and have a fallback network being on, or backup network being on LTE or 5G, for example. And having the ability to balance the traffic across both routes allows us to produce very high quality product into the home that's surrounded by amazing security that would have been standard in the data center, as well as giving the ability to have users connect to applications in their home environment into the cloud, into the corporate environment, and bringing that VPN type of service that we've seen being used across networks for past years into version 2 or version 3 type of concepts. And really the key here is about improving business application performance and data security in a home situation. And I think if you can bring SD-WAN in to help solve a fair amount of the work from home challenges that corporates face, it's one of the building blocks to hybrid cloud that I think is often missed by customers. Now, Colin, I know that Intel has had a huge role in helping both Dell and VMware shape much of the technology. Can you spend a bit of time on what Intel is doing specifically in this SD-WAN space and how it can help?
Yeah, I think, if we think about what you just said, I think we're all grappling with, how do we get that balance in terms of a work from home, in terms of the different types of technology that's required. So I think, we've been uniquely positioned because of the different business groups that we have to think about, what do we need at the edge device? So our client group, what do we need at the data center? Well, we have our data center group. What do we need with regard to the connectivity in between? Because as Jeff said, if there's no connectivity, nothing's going to happen. So I think, we're well positioned with all the various groups. And, I think one of the things that perhaps has been also underlooked in the data center is our programmable systems group and the impact that that's had in recent times in terms of, being situational to be able to react to the business as it's needed. So I think basically we have the platform ingredients to be able to deliver everything that's required. And we're working, specifically with yourselves in VMware to be able to optimize for your clients and your customers. So I think for me, it's about the partnership. It's about how do we work with Dell? How do we work with the with NTT Dimension Data to actually bring it all together for the customer. So, I really want to thank you for the time today, and I want to hand back to Jeff.
Thank you, Colin. And I suppose to just wrap it up and kind of summarize what we're talking about, there's clearly a combination of the likes of Intel and Dell VMware in terms of providing the technology and the underpinning hardware, and that's been purpose-built to be able to run an SD-WAN, and then the combination of a partner like Dimension Data who delivers a managed SD-WAN service. So for clients who are not looking to build and operate that environment themselves, but partner with the likes of Dimension Data, we have the connectivity, we have the data centers, we have the technology expertise, and in order to solve some of the problems we've spoken about, built on industry-leading technology that we've spoken about. So I think that really does bring the story together to allow our clients to not worry about some of the minutiae and the operations, but actually run their business and allow us to provide that service and provide them that flexibility they're required. And on that, I'll hand back to you, Mariana.
Amazing. Thank you, Jeff. Wow, what a powerful conversation. I believe each one of us have learned so much, and I'm sure everyone who joined us, similarly to me, has wrote down some key action points as next steps. Jeff, Colin, and Greg, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your insights. As a concluding remark, I think, let's ensure that we stay connected on this journey towards successful digital transformation. Let's ensure we understand the how, and that may include thinking and acting on questions like which applications are best suited for cloud. Have we migrated them yet? How can we provide cloud-like infrastructure for on-premise applications? How do we connect users to applications in a cost-effective manner? Have you considered the increased attack surface created by hybrid IT? And maybe is our IT strategies and action plans aligned to the overall business objective? How do we measure whether our infrastructure delivers quality to the end users? And there are so many more examples. We look forward to further engaging with you and your team around these topics. Please leave your comments in the section below, and please connect with us by visiting the relevant websites and social media channels. As per our theme for this series, cloud transformation is no longer why or when, but how. Now, let's go out and do more.